Okay. We are on. Um, Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, pleasant midday. If you are in the middle of the night and getting ready for bed, good night. Well, good evening, because we're not going to sleep yet. Okay, let's begin. Hello, Dr. Jackman. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Okay, so I have done everything I need to do to get started here. So let's get started. It's Thursday. It's almost the weekend again. Time is flying. But we say that all the time, don't we? But time is flying. And this year we're working with time because we have a schedule to meet this year. Remember that we are working towards everything we're focusing on this year. We are focusing on All Year's Day. We are working towards All Year's Day in some areas of our lives, the 5 areas of our lives. We talked about health, style, wealth, personal power, and relationships. And we're almost at the end of February. So 2 months have gone. Can you imagine that? 2 months have already gone out of this year. We have 10 more and a lot of work to do. So let's get started. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Some of you will have noticed I've shifted gears. And some of you will have noticed. I've shaved my head pretty much. I cut my hair. And those of you who know me know the story of my hair. India Ari has a song, I'm Not My Hair. I really am not. I watched a recording of her at Java Jazz Festival, I think it's 2014. And she did this whole thing where she came on with her head wrapped and this big hair, and she took off the wrap, and there was hair down to here. And then she took the whole thing off, and she had about as much hair as I do while she was singing the song, I'm Not My Hair. You know, I'm not my hair. I kind of am my hair. Hi there. We are our hair. Our hair is part of us. So I am with her, yes or no, because of course her point is that she is not only her hair. Beautiful Pearl. She's not only her hair. Her hair is part of who she is. She's not defined by her hair. So whether she has hair or not, whether it's straight, curly, blonde, black, purple, blue, doesn't matter. What matters is who she is. I kind of feel the same way. You know, apart from the fact that my lifestyle, my personality just do not allow me to be spending hours taking care of my hair. So I keep my hair short. I've kept it short for years and years. There was once when I had dreads and I let it grow, and then I cut it and cut it and cut it and finally came back home. And I had been letting my hair grow because during COVID, I let my hair grow because I wasn't going to the hairdresser. I wasn't going to the barber shop. And it grew, and I did something with it. Then I got tired of it and I cut it off because it requires care. You have to take care of your hair. And hair requires a lot of care. And I spend my time doing something else. So I like when my hair is like this. I shower, I wash everything, put some oil, maybe brush them a little bit, and I'm good to go. That's my style. It is also, for me, an expression of my personal power. Remember, yesterday I mentioned that personal power has to do a lot with your confidence in yourself, your self-confidence that expresses. People see it. People are attracted to you. People gravitate towards you. People respond to you. Power. What is power after all? Power is the ability to influence people, to make something happen that would not have happened otherwise. Power is that. Power is a measure of influence. And there are different types of power. We will talk about positional power. If you are the CEO, you have positional power. Yes. If you are the elder, you might have positional power. What we're talking about this year a lot is personal power, self-confidence, which is really important for women. I'll say that again. Self-confidence is really important for women. We are trained all over the world. We are socialized to question and doubt ourselves and put other people before us. We are taught through our experiences, sometimes not even directly. People don't say you're not as smart. They just treat you as if you are not. And prevent girls from doing things that only boys should do, because boys are smarter, boys are stronger, boys are more adept at these things. Boys are born, they're more naturally inclined to the or able to do these things. And I have had a problem with that ever since I was a child. Ever since I was a child. Because I know what biology says. I know what hormones and socialization and so on do. I know that. I also know that biology says our brain cells are made of the same thing. And my mother was this wonderful woman who, when I was a child, like many children, like most children, all children are born with heads too big for their bodies, right? And then our bodies grow into them, our heads grow a little bit bigger to conform and fit with our physical body, because we're born with our bones not fused. They fuse eventually as we get older. And well, mine took a long time to fuse, evidently, because I had a big head when I was small. It doesn't look as big right now because but I had a big head when I was small. They used to tease me at school. Big head Shirley, they used to call me. Sometimes he didn't bother me, because sometimes he wasn't even malicious. He wasn't, but he just big head Shirley. She's got a big head. And one day I complained to my mother. I went to her, and this particular date had got to me. I was just crying. I went to her, and my mother said to me, "Don't take them on. Don't bother. Tell them you have more brains in your head than they do. Yes, your head is big because you got more brains than they do." Yeah. So I've grown up knowing that I am at least as capable and competent as any man. Obviously, among women, there are women who are smarter than me. There are women who are not. There are men who are smarter than I am. There are men who are not. But in the round, I hold my own. I am as smart as anybody else. I'm as capable as anybody else. I'm also as strong as anybody else in the round. Okay. I'm not a 300-pound man with muscles like this, but look at this. I mean, I got some. I have some. And I take care of myself and make sure I keep my body strong. And I read and I study and I think about things and I ask questions and I try to inform myself. I listen to the news. I listen to all kinds of news. I even listen to, the news from people I don't agree with. I have conversations with people I am completely at odds with on certain things. So I grew up in a place where girls used to run around, go to the beach and so on, as boys did. I mean, I learned to swim before I could walk. I grew up on an island. It's a beautiful little island where everything is cool and relaxed for the most part. And we grew up pretty safe. So I could wander around like the boys did. Not that I was allowed to just wander around, willy-nilly, but, I lived near to the beach. I run down the hill. I was at the beach. I learned to swim. I could fish. I could run. I could play cricket. I could do all the things the boys could do. I climbed trees. The only tree I never learned to climb is a coconut tree, partly because it hurts. It's a really, really rough bark and it hurts. I never learned to climb the coconut tree. I can climb any other tree. And guess what? Because I was so small, I could also go further out on the branches than many of the boys my age or younger. I say all of that to say that what gives us personal power is our confidence in our abilities, our confidence in our competence, our confidence in our ability to create, to survive, to thrive, to make things, to do things, to bring things into our lives that we want and to bring things into other people's lives. Confidence. Whatever else you might hear about personal power, what it boils down to is your confidence in yourself. So that even when you are at your lowest, you know that you can pick yourself up and move on. When my father got ill in 2010 and was sick for a long time, about 7 months. And that was one of the lowest periods of my life, one of the very lowest periods of my life. My father was what I've heard people describe as a hell of a man. Okay. My father was a man not much taller than I am, not much taller than I, to be honest, but he was a man confident about himself and his capabilities. And I guess he passed it on to his children. But anyway, in those months, I watched my father get sicker and sicker, and eventually he died. And while he was ill, one of the things I used to give myself therapy was I wrote. I did a lot of writing when my father was ill. Um, and I wrote about being in this dark space, watching somebody you love, formerly very vibrant and powerful, and you know, and watching somebody you love like this just dwindle. Yeah. Um, and after he died, I found myself stuck in two ways. One was, of course, I'm a daughter, very attached to my father, and the question I asked myself, okay, who am I now? Who am I now? And I have my father's name, right? I'm Shirley Osborne. I have my father's name. And my father dies, and he was the first of my parents to die. So who am I now that I no longer have a father? Because part of my identity is bound up in my father. Half of me is my father. I'd never considered it before because I had never been in that situation before. But as I talk to other people, men and women, I learned that they also have the same question comes up. When your parents leave, what does it do to you, to your person? Does some part of you leave with you? And of course, when you ask those questions, what you're also doing, you're questioning your wholeness. You're questioning your wholeness. When you're questioning your wholeness, you're questioning your capability. So what I was asking was, am I able to continue without my father? When you have somebody that you can rely on like that. And my father was never a pushover. Trust me on this one. So when my father stood up for you, he stood up for you. He didn't stand up when you were doing rubbish. You're doing stuff, he will tell you straight, and you have to set yourself straight. And so you have that kind of person walking with you. And when he's gone, can you be the question that was for me? Can I be all of who I was without him? And my father died on the 2nd of January, the beginning of the year, a brand new year, and a brand new me had to emerge. A brand new me had to emerge. And so I sat back to ask myself the question, who am I now? Who am I now? Who am I now? And in that dark period, my writings reflect that. My writings reflect that. And I wrote a small book, There's Gold in Your Soul. Because one of the things I realized over that year, processing losing my father and fearing that I was losing part of myself, I found that there's a light in us that doesn't go out. Maybe it goes out when we die. I don't know. I haven't died yet. What I do know is that in those darkest moments, what kept me coming, what kept me strong, what kept me going is that there was always a light. There's always this light inside me. Sometimes it seemed far, 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 far away. And I think when I was writing that story, that little book, in my mind, I was seeing this light. And in fact, in book, I write about seeing this light way, way, way up. There's all darkness all around me. That's the grief and the darkness there. And there's this light, this little point of light, this little pinpoint of light that never went away. It didn't shed much light in the dark. But it was there. It never went away. And eventually I got closer. It grew bigger. And I settled into myself again. I realized that no, we're allowed to question ourselves. Actually, it's good to question and challenge yourself from time to time. Keep you grounded. Yeah. It keeps us grounded. What happens, however, if we actually pay attention and process, walk ourselves through the process, is we find ourselves again. And when you find yourself again, what happens? Your confidence in yourself increases. It strengthens. You become stronger when you find yourself again. So after a couple of years, I remember right after he died, one of my friends said and told me, It's going to take you a while, Osborne. It's going to take you a while. When my father died, it was 2, 3 years before I could catch myself. And so I knew I was in for a long haul. And my grandfathers had died before my grandmothers, and so I had lost a brother when we were very young. We were in our 20s. I was about 30. He was 26, and he had an accident and he died suddenly. And so actually, when my father died, I was processing. They die suddenly, and you end up catatonic. The shock just leaves you breathless. I remember I stayed in bed after my brother's funeral. I literally, the only time I got out of bed for about 3 days was to go to the bathroom. And the only reason I finally got up after the 2 years was because one of my friends said, no, we need to go put on some clothes, have a shower, put on some clothes, and let's go do something. And it turns out I was in Arizona at the time. We drove down to Mexico and drove back. And we've been to. So anyhow, when I knew I was in for the long haul. But when I processed myself through this, when I came through, when I had that one moment where I suddenly realized, yeah, I'm kind of breathing a little bit easier. I sat up straight. I sat up right. Because what came back to me also was that my father would expect me to get through this and be strong and get through this. And when he was ill, he said that. You'll be fine. And I remember I was reassuring him, I'll be fine. I'm going to miss you, but I'll be fine. So when I finally, as that happened, I worked my way through. And I came out stronger. And my self-confidence, my power, my personal power, elevated. When you come through stuff, you get to know that can't do that to me again. That kind of thing will never knock me down again. That happens again, I can get through it. That is personal power. Personal power is not about other people. There's a reason why it's called personal, because it's yours. It's not about other people. It's not the power that other people give you. Like positional power, it's your position relative to other people. And when people stop recognizing your power, your position, you no longer have power. Yeah? Personal power is about you, yourself, and you. Me, myself, and I. My personal power is about me, myself, and I. It is my confidence in myself. Your personal power is your confidence in yourself. What it allows you to do, however, is walk through the world in a certain way, accomplish things in the world in a certain way because you see things in a certain way. Let me give an example. I love to travel. And I love good wine. And I was in school in England, and we had gone on the continent, and we're coming back home. There were 4 or 5 of us. And we bought wine, of course. You were allowed like 2 bottles each. We were packing, and we were very young, so we bought the 2 because you buy the 2. And we were packing, and we were taking the train. We weren't flying. We were students. We were taking the train and the ferry and whatever else. And we packed our bags. I'm not a shopper. I don't do a whole lot of shopping. I really don't. I'm not crazy about shopping. So my friends bought clothes and all kinds of things. I buy books and wine and things like that. My friends bought clothes and shoes. So they were packing, their suitcases were chock full. As it turns out, 5 bottles of wine end up in my suitcase. We came through customs, came through Dover. I can't remember where we landed, actually. Yeah. But we came, and we came through customs. And I'm walking my suitcase. I'm going through wherever. And my friends who had bottles, they were kind of all scared for me because it suddenly dawned on us that they're gonna charge us some money here, or they're gonna take our wine. Man, I walked through like nothing. My other friend, who had only her 2 bottles, of course, they asked, have anything to declare? You said no, because really, you don't need to declare 2 bottles, is what I think we thought at the time. And she came through. The customs officer said, excuse me, and search her suitcase. She was trembling. I just walked to like I owned the place. Another time I was going back to England during school from the Caribbean, and I had rum. Rum because people give you rum to take for your auntie and your uncle and whoever. And I don't know how many bottles of rum I had. I can't remember. And my parents had warned me, okay, you need to declare because, and they gave me money to make sure. So I got in and I'm walking through, and the customs officer says, "Excuse me, miss," or whatever. And he said, "You have gone to the class?" I said, "No." He said, "Do you have anything?" I said, "Well, I have a few bottles of, I have some alcohol. So I'm coming back to school." He said, "You're going to have a party?" I said, "Yes." And I kept going. That was the end of that. And my friends marvel at stuff like that. Because, I mean, if I'd been pulled over, if he had searched my suitcase, he'd have done one of two things: taken them all away or charged me for them. He wasn't going to lock me up. So your confidence in yourself, your personal power allows you to have the confidence also that you can deal with stuff that happens, simple things. Because literally, you're not going to go to jail for having 5 bottles of alcohol when you're only allowed 2. No, they'll charge you for them or they'll take them away. And that's that, right? So having the confidence in yourself that you can deal with stuff. You know what happens? When you walk around with that confidence, people see it. And very often, quite a lot, most of the time even, they respond to that. She cool. She's okay. Obviously, I know she's walking out there. Must be nothing. Because if you listen to people talk, police officers, and so they tell you they look for signs of, doubt. They look for, I don't know what the signs are. People look a little bit shifty, look a little bit concerned. No, when you have confidence in yourself, people assume that everything is fine. And that's your personal power doing that. And if you talk about women, like I said, it's really important for women because a lot of women actually have positional power, but they don't have this personal power. And it affects how they work. It affects their use, their accomplishments in that office, in that position. So it's really, really important that we begin to build personal power. Get clear that you're capable, you're competent. I can deal with that. I can handle that. Whatever comes my way, I can. It might, it might drop me to my knees for a little bit, but guess what? I can get up again. I can get up again. And so what I want to leave with you where that is concerned is you build personal power by paying attention to you and who you are. We come back to that question, who am I? Who am I? Who are you? You are the sum total of your genes, your experiences, your education, your perceptions, all of those things, your socialization, all those things make you who you are. What helps you build that strength is to get comfortable with that, with those things. Get to know them, understand what they are, and get comfortable. Understand who you are. I'll give you one quick example before we leave. Very often, very, very often, we've all heard stories of people who, they're not quite sure about themselves because they arrive in certain position or they're circulating in certain circles, and they worry about where they come from. They worry about where they come from. I know people like that. They don't want people to know that they have family like that, or they come from a home that was like that they were poor when they were little, when they were young, that their mother went and left them, or their father abandoned. They don't want to talk about that. You don't have to tell the world. But these things that the world tells us we ought to be ashamed of, they work to diminish and deplete and reduce our ability to feel confident in ourselves. So let me give you a quick example. My father's family has some very interesting characters. There's one here, Dr. Jackman, you would know him, Red Paul. Red Paul was my father's cousin, their second or third cousin, pretty close. My father's grandparents and his grandparents, his grandmother, my father's grandmother was sisters or something to that effect. I can't remember the details now. Red Paul was in Plymouth, the town. He was loud, he was obnoxious, he just, And whenever he saw us, we were his family, he'd call out to us. And um, for a little while, I remember we'd kind of, you're walking through Plymouth and there's this big, loud, obnoxious man calling out to you because he knows you. And one day, I was telling Daddy, we were walking across Strand Street and Red Pole only calling out to us, and he always does that. He always, we with our friends, and Daddy said, "But you know that. You know that he's my family. You know he's my cousin." And I really, I mean, well, I don't know how old I was at the time. I was small. And I said, "Yeah," and he said, "Yes." And he said to me, "He calls you. He calls out to you. You acknowledge him. He's your family. He's part of you. He's part of me. He's my family." So I learned from early on. As it turns out, Red Paul, with all his loudness, was a softie. He was a softie, and he cared so much for his family. So he was a trader. He used to have what we used to call American apples, because in the islands, apples come in. You don't just find apples. Apples come in, and they're pretty expensive because they don't belong to our place. They're imported. And he was one of the most generous human beings ever. And plus he also he had a bit of a history, a colorful history. And I am proud to tell the whole world, let the whole world know that Red Paul is my family. I could hide from that. You could, but there's no reason why you should. There's no reason why you should. We have the same issue with people who have gay people in their family. When I hear people bash gay people, and I said, you know that I can guarantee you there's at least one in your family. Go look and see what you're going to do. Because when you cut off those things, when you bring shame and embarrassment into your own life, he's a human being on his own. You're not responsible for him. So why you allow, and you see how you are opened up and freed up, and your sense of confidence, your confidence in yourself, in who you are, remains intact, grows, strengthens. Because you're not ashamed of any part of you. You're not ashamed because, the man who's panhandling on the corner is your relative. Now, if you know that there's something you could do to help and you haven't, or you should do to help and you haven't, that's another story. But when you allow shame and embarrassment into your life unnecessarily, you're depleting your own personal power, and that makes no sense. So what I want to leave with you, get back to that, what I want to leave with you is examine yourself. Look at yourself, your socialization, your origins, your provenance, your people, your life, your choices, your whatever. Get to the point where you own them. Own your mistakes even. Okay, I made a mistake. I was young, I was stupid, I was whatever, but I'm better now. I found my better side. That won't happen again. You build your confidence. Where you've had pain and grief, look at how you went through that. Look at, you are here, you're standing, you got through that. You're laughing again. You've come up from that deep, dark place. So you've pulled on your strength. So you know that you have the strength. Knowing you have the strength is knowing you have the power. That is personal power. That is personal power. So go examine yourself. Ask yourself, who am I? Who am I really? What do I need to look at in me? What things must I let go? And in letting them go, just let them go. Don't hold on to any shame about them. Let them go. What things must I bring into my life? Like acceptance of the crazy uncle, the weird auntie who dresses up in whatever. Accept. Because those are part of you, and those help you with your power, your personal power. The one thing you need to do, I'm leaving with you here, above all, to enhance and strengthen and solidify your personal power, is have confidence in yourself. And you do that by knowing yourself. Knowing yourself, accepting yourself, owning yourself, not apologizing for yourself, your highest self. Working always towards your highest self. And you're good. There are all kinds of ways to do that, and we will talk about them as we go through the year. You learn all kinds of tips and strategies for doing that as we go through the year. One of the things you could do right now is go to the website, www.shirleyosborne.com, www.shirleyosborne.com. On the home page is a short video I did about power. And it begins, let's talk about power, ladies. Yes. It's about 3 minutes. Go on the website, check it out. It'll tell you what power is and why it is important to have power. Power is something we all need. Power is the ability to make something happen that would not have happened otherwise for you or for somebody else. And that comes out of your personal power in combination with or alone your positional and other kinds of power. So go do that. Spend some time examining yourself. Go to the website, check out the website, invite some people to join Elevation 2023. And invite some people, get yourself registered, and let's do this work. Yes? So go check out the power video. Leave a note and tell me what you think. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow we are talking about relationships. Relationships. The quality of relationships you allow into your life, you maintain, also contribute or detract from your personal power. Think about that in turn for tomorrow, as you come up to tomorrow. The quality of the relationships you allow into your life affect, influence, positively and or negatively, your personal power. They can strengthen or deplete it. I just leave that with you. Thank you for hanging out with me this Thursday afternoon. If you're going to bed, sweet dreams, pleasant night. If you're going out to dinner, enjoy your meal. If you're having lunch, if you're getting off to work, in any case, take good care. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Thank you.